Welcome everyone to a quick look at a Stream-M build. Stream-M has similar features to the larger versions of Spectre 4 in that it actually has the Spectre 4 power board. It fits the same radiator capacity, not including Enterprise and Quantum, which also fit radiators on the back. But the main difference is, aside from the completely different aesthetics and a bit of a different manufacturing process, construction, is that Stream-M has a closed and dust filtered design, unlike Spectre 4, which has an open design, although it does have dust filters on intakes. There are two versions of Stream-M. This one is the dual loop. So the dual and single loop, the only difference between them is the backplate. On the Stream-M dual loop, you have an integrated D5 reservoir combo on the backplate, similar to Spectre 4. And then on both versions of Stream-M, you have a D5 reservoir combo distribution plate on the front panel. The construction is 3mm folded aluminium, so it's a lot thicker than your average case, which is 0.6mm steel, and even than Caselab's cases, which was a thin aluminium. So it's, you know, thick, strong, and heavy construction. And also you have 16mm of acrylic for the distribution plates. This build has a Threadripper 7970X, a TRX50 Sage, 128 GB of Kingston Fury X ECC registered DDR5, 3 2TB Crucial T705s, a 5090 Astral, 1300 watt Seasonic Prime, and we have two 420mm radiators, 60mm thick, alpha core, one in the top and one in the bottom mounted on this side. So similar to Spectre 4, you can fit two 360 or 420mm radiators. This build has a couple of add-ons that don't come included with the case, such as the screen. And this is the same screen that comes with Spectre 4, although this one has different mounting and a different casing to fit into Stream-M. It is just a display, this one, it's not a controller, so you can display anything on this. It connects to the build via HDMI and USB. We normally use this for ADA sensor panel displays, which is what's running on there now. This one is not finished because I only just booted the system. I'm going to change this to black and white to match the build and change some other things. This little screen here is the Fan Guardian Powerboard controller. So this is for monitoring the coolant temperatures. So we have here two separate loops, which is what Stream-M dual loop is designed for. You can set it up as a single loop, but it has two separate D5 reservoir combo distribution plates. So it's designed for dual loops, one for the CPU and one for the GPU, which is the way I have it set up here. And the Fan Guardian is displaying the two pumps, you know, one for each of the loops, the two sets of fans, one for each of the radiators, and the two coolant temperatures, one for each of the loops. And also you can see the ambient temperature there as well. So really all of the important things that you need to know for a dual loop water cooling system. The powerboard has built-in RPM management. So the RPM curves are actually built in, not requiring software, and you can adjust how aggressive the curves are with the pots up here. And it may seem a little strange using pots, but with our system you don't have to use software, which means you can adjust these real time. So with software, with RPM curves, you know, you got to go into the BIOS, you have to install software, you got to pull the RPM curve and play around with it, and then you use the system and you find out, like, at a certain temperature it's too loud, then you got to go back into the BIOS of the software and change it around again. With this you can just adjust it real time with the pot, and we find you only need to do that like once or twice, and then you don't really need to touch it again. It's just a much easier way to tweak it and get it absolutely perfect for the kind of loads that you're using and for the kind of noise output that you want. And it's just independent of BIOS and software, so it really simplifies things. And that also goes for the other features of the Fan Guardian, which is RGB lighting control. So as soon as you get into the BIOS, you can play around with your RGB lighting. You don't need to install Windows, install Crate or some other RGB software and go through all of the problems that you normally have with RGB. And you've got a whole bunch of settings here to choose from, including a temperature effect, so the lights will change depending on how hot the coolant is. So that's based on the coolant temperature. You can change the, you can have set up RPM alerts, also with lighting colors, and you can change the themes here as well, and the colors. It's a bit of a crazy one. So I'm going to make another video with more detail on the Fan Guardian, all of the features, exactly how it works. But yeah, that's been a brief overview of Stream-M.